Zilch left, 35 Wichita Macho
Dice
Toe.
right, F5.
Dice right numbers, 3 Jet Spielberg.
Ready?
All right, and welcome back to the Pre-Snap Pressure Podcast, episode 35. And we're all the way back to the beginning at preseason rankings for conferences, starting with the SEC. Wow, I know, right?
Can't believe we actually made it.
What was that supposed to mean, Ryan?
It's nothing. It's just, I can't believe.
I can't believe this is my life. Anyways, as just mentioned, going to be a lot like our first episode, preseason rankings for the entire SEC. We're going to do this for every power conference. Not every conference. We don't have enough weeks for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sadly. But no, start with the SEC, and then we'll get to all 4 of the Power 4 right up until week 1 of the season. So essentially how this is going to go is we have our rankings set up. Me and Ryan have different rankings. Last time we went in alphabetical order. This time we got a fun little spin wheel to just randomly pick a team just to make it a little more fun. Because
Make it a little more random.
Exactly. Any questions, Ryan?
Any questions?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any questions?
About the wheel? About
anything?
the SEC? About anything?
About anything.
No, I don't think I do, actually.
Okay, cool. Before we actually get into that, we did want to do a little quick holistic review of our rankings that we put out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That we say that we put out Monday.
Yeah. Anyways, so for what in difference to last year, we both have the same number 1. Brian has the same number 1 as last year. I ponied up and picked Texas number 1.
Yeah.
To start this year. Why'd you say that with such disappointment, Ryan?
Dude, Texas at 1.
He said, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
With both of us, followed by Georgia. And then the consensus between both of us and a lot of other people that we've talked to about the SEC over the last few weeks is that 3 to 7 is the hardest ranking we'll ever have to make.
Yeah, it's just I think, especially for 3 and 4, you can put, I think, LSU, Texas A&M. I think even in that 5 range, I think a lot of people have Ole Miss in that 4 spot. I think a lot of people have Alabama in that 4. It's just, there's no one right way to put it. As long as you have Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, you're with the consensus.
And I feel that's, and another thing to this, I feel like is a lot of being Ryan currently, a lot of other people with how they're ranking out the SEC preseason is somebody's going to surprise people. So somebody in this ranking in the second half and the bottom 8 is going to surprise people. We don't know who that is yet. Could be Florida, could be South Carolina, could be, I don't know, one of these teams might have a really, really solid year, and we just don't know it yet. So, but that's the fun thing about making preseason rankings, isn't that right, Ryan?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be. I'm really hoping it's gonna be an exciting year in the SEC. I literally have my 8 through 12 basically in this tier I call breakout squad, and it's literally
that's a good name for that.
I think any one of these 5 teams could break out and go 9 and 3, and I think all of their floors are probably in the 4 and 8, 5 and 7 range, but all of their ceilings are in the 9 and 3, 10 and 2 range. Each one of these teams, I think, has the ability to win big games, but I also think they will lose a lot of these big games. So there's one of these 5 teams that's gonna win the big games, and it's just which one is it?
All right, shall we get started?
Yeah.
All right, first team, full wheel spin. Oh wow, we start with LSU.
Off rip,
we start with LSU. Lane Kiffin, first year head coach at LSU. I had them at number 3. I think you had them at number 4. So they're both up there for us.
Yes.
So it's such a it's I want to say it's a different team from last year, but it's also not a different team from last year because they have a lot of core pieces still at play, like Trey'Dez Green. But they also brought in, 41 transfers? Something like
Yep.
that? Like a ridiculous amount. And this is a team that's still recruiting, by the way, with Lane Kiffin. I don't know why anyone would think that would stop, but that didn't stop. But if you look at the offense, yeah, I think 7 of their projected starters are new from the portal. With outside of Trey'Dez Green, the only 3 returners are on the offensive line. So an entire new slate of skill positions outside at receiver, and then at running back, and then obviously at quarterback. Does this say they have 4? They brought in 4 transfer quarterbacks. Am I reading this right, Ryan?
Dude. That's ridiculous.
All right, then. Anyways, Sam Levitt leading that LSU offense had a down year at Arizona State last year, but we know what he can be. Helped lead Cam Scat Pack and the Sun Devils almost to an upset over Texas 2 years ago. That Ryan probably remembers very fondly. Anyways,
Yikes.
yikes. And then they also brought in, what is it? 1, 2, 3. Is this 8 receivers?
I mean,
Lane Kiffin got a
it's-
lot of guys. That's the point we're trying to make.
Yeah, their entire second squad, like the bench players, 10 out of 11 are transfer guys. Like on the offense, it's ridiculous how many guys he went in and got from the portal, and even bringing in a few guys from Ole Miss. Like I think he brought over probably a little bit less than maybe some would expect, but like he brought in, what is that? 4, I think it's 4 Ole Miss guys.
He brought in
One of them being Prince Will Uman Mielen.
close enough.
Uman Mielen.
There you go.
Prince Will Uman Mielen. There we go. 6'5", 245 edge rusher, or 245-pound edge rusher, 5-star in the transfer portal, #1 overall edge. I mean, this guy is a stud. He's huge. He's gonna be huge on that defense. That is also returning a lot of guys. You've got Whit Weeks coming back to lead the linebacker group. You've got most of your secondary returning. You've got DJ Pickett, who's an underclassman, coming back. You've got Tamarcus Cooley and PJ Woodland, who are all coming back for another year with LSU. So a lot of turnover on the offensive side, but I think that's okay because that's where Kevin specializes. And with a guy like Sam Levitt, I think he can do a lot of dangerous work.
Their reputation for the past few years for LSU as a whole is in terms of what LSU does best is receivers. I think Lane Kiffin went out and got a lot of really good receivers. Granted, you can only put at most 5 of them on the field at the same time. But I think the 2 best he got was Winston Watkins from Ole Miss. That's one of the Ole Miss guys he got. And then Trey or Eugene Wilson from Florida, who was one of their best receivers the last 2 years. So I think they'll be great on the receiving front. If you look at, like we said, not as many new additions on the defense. Something that is entirely new is the defensive line with 3 transfers, and then a true freshman, Deuce Geralds, as well as Lamar Brown being 2 very highly touted recruits coming out of the high school level. So that's Richard Anderson too. This team is stacked. It's just a lot of uncertainty on how it's all going to come together. On paper, this is one of the best teams in the SEC. Like probably top 2 or maybe top 1 in the SEC. Who knows? It's just new coach, new system, new team. A lot to be seen still.
Okay, so one thing I want to look at is the schedule this year. It looks very winnable. They've got 3 home games that against 3 teams that if they were on the road, those games would be question marks. They've got Texas A&M at home, Alabama at home, and Texas at home. All games that are tough, but a lot more winnable when you're at home in Baton Rouge. I think one of their toughest games this year will actually end up being that Ole Miss game on the road. A lot of emotion going into it. I'm excited to see how they handle that. Yeah. But I think they can handle it, and I think with the rest of their schedule, they can find themselves towards the top of the SEC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, really, it's that Ole Miss game, and then the only like really other road challenge I see on the schedule is Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree.
To be like a serious threat, but like I think their 3 hardest games, all in Death Valley. So yeah, I think they lucked out their schedule. I think this is gonna be a really good football team. All right, next team. Mississippi State, yes. You have them dead last. I have them at 13. You mentioned that range of teams, what did you say, 8 to 12? That's like, this is a surprise team. I'm dropping that down to 13, and I'm low-key including Mississippi State into this if they can get that defense figured out, because I love their offense and literally every single aspect of it. Their receivers are so fast. Their running back is awesome. He's like 230 pounds, and his name is Fluff. How ironic is that? Also, their quarterback is awesome. Kamario Taylor is an amazing quarterback. I just really think it's going to be on the defense to dictate really how good this Mississippi State team is going to be.
Yeah, I think this team can be good. I think this team definitely has the ability, especially considering a lot of their guys are huge, dude. Like I was doing some work or some research on them the other night, and it's like I think they have like 6 guys that I saw total that are under 6 feet tall. I think most guys are 200 plus pounds. They're big dudes. There's some big guys on this roster.
Yeah.
And I think just in the transfer portal alone, I mean Tyler Miller, he's a 3-star tackle, 6'6",
335. Oh my god.
I know Jeff Levy can't wait to get his hands on him. They got another one. Jalen Matthews, offensive tackle, 6'6",
350. Jeff Levy was licking his chops when he looked in the database and saw this. He was like, "Oh yeah."
LJ Prudhomme, 3-star interior line, 6'3", 318. Like these guys are massive offensive linemen, and I think that will absolutely help with the run game. That's already going to be good. Kamario Taylor's a physical beast. They just got some physical guys on this team, and I think that's exactly the type of roster that Jeff Levy wanted to build. It's just, this is not a fun year. This is not a fun year for Mississippi State.
No.
They start with a couple of early road trips to Minnesota, to South Carolina. Then they come back home. They're playing Mizzou. That's definitely a toss-up. I absolutely think that's a toss-up. I don't have Mizzou winning that game by any means. But then they also have Alabama the next week, LSU on the road, Oklahoma at home, Texas out on the road, Vanderbilt at home, and then Auburn and Ole Miss to wrap up their SEC schedule. Ole Miss on the road, Auburn at home.
Yeah, this is rough.
A lot of losable games.
This is rough.
When you get three of the top 5 teams, 4 even in some people's with Alabama, in some people's rankings, when you get 4 of those games, it's tough, especially when you're trying to take a leap as a program. You're not even established yet. You're just trying to take that leap. So I think if they can steal a win or 2 this year, absolutely, that'd be awesome. I just don't think they will.
I think this team is going to be better than what their record reflects, mainly because this is a brutal stretch of games. I think, hold on, let me see here. Let's see. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of both of our top 7s.
Yeah.
With 3 of those games on the road.
That's criminal. That's terrible. Especially when a team like LSU is getting, Texas A&M, Texas, and Alabama all at home.
Yeah. So tough draw for them, but I think this is going to be a solid team because they were close in a lot of games last year, especially at the start of the year. People are like,
they almost beat Tennessee last year,
and people are like, this team is good. I think they got better, so I think they have a chance to maybe take one of these games. So that's,
I mean, they also almost beat Texas last year. It took a miraculous comeback.
That's my stance on Mississippi State. All right, next team up.
Yeah.
After Ryan's bottom feeder is Florida, who I think we both have in the middle of the pack. Ryan's got them at 8. I have them at 9. Entirely new look Florida. Well, not entirely new look. A lot of new look Florida team with a new coach and a new quarterback, like for sure. But they managed to keep a lot of their solid skill pieces, especially on the offensive side of the ball, like Jaden Baugh, Vernell Brown, and Dallas Wilson. Those are the big 3 that they were able to retain. And I think that was a huge win for John Summerall to be able to retain those three. And I think Florida is going to be a really solid offense around those three once they figure out the quarterback position. The defense is the question mark. They were pretty decent at times last year, but they did lose a good chunk of talent. But that's not to say they're shy of talent. Like Miles Graham is still that dude. A lot of these guys, especially in that linebacker to the secondary, are have had multiple years starting, caliber careers. So again, it's like LSU, but even more to an extent. New coach, new system. How are you guys adapting to it? That's why I have the middle of the field, because I think this roster is talented. I didn't even mention Eric Singleton. They got him out of the portal too to be a third receiver. He's great too. So, new head coach, new offensive coordinator with Buster Faulkner. So it's really a toss-up these first, I guess, 5 or 6 games for Florida to see how good this team really is going to be.
Yeah, it should be a fun team. I think John Summerall is exactly the kind of guy that Florida fans are looking for.
Maniac.
He seems like he's willing to do anything for a win. And I think a lot of Florida fans are getting hungry for some more wins. And this year they don't quite exactly have the quarterback situation figured out, but I think Aaron Philo or Jamel Jones Jr., I think either of them will do fine. I think having Jaden Baugh, Vernell Brown, Eric Singleton, and Dallas Wilson as weapons to ease the transition, whichever quarterback takes the starting job, will be very beneficial to this Florida team. A couple of top transfer class, top 30, top 15 recruiting, top 8, top 20 overall class, which is really nice to have year one as a new coach. And the schedule, a lot of tough teams. I mean, you've got Texas and Georgia to start, or not to start up, but you have them back to back. You have Texas on the road, then you've got Georgia. I believe that's a neutral site. Yes.
Yes, Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah. And so, having those two teams in your schedule back to back, it's a common theme in the SEC. Every schedule is going to be tough. But when you have those two back to back, then you got Oklahoma, another top 7 team that we got on here. Ole Miss on the schedule. I mean, it's just they got to pick up a win or two here and there, especially at home. Between that Oklahoma and Ole Miss game, if they could pick up a win, that's great. But you got to win against Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Auburn, maybe to build some momentum.
Yep, I agree. Next team up after Florida is their rival in that neutral site game we just mentioned, Georgia. We both have them at number 2. So Georgia, a lot of returning starters, a lot of returning production, and somehow with I want to say 70%, 75%, same starters as last year. This is still the youngest team in the SEC. Sorry, scratch that. Youngest team in the country by average age.
Wow.
Kirby
can recruit.
Recruit and retain. That's a big thing.
Yes, seriously, dude.
Yeah. So looking on the offense, pretty much they pretty much just lost out a receiver, like the pass catchers. That was it. The offensive line is almost the exact same, with the exception of Monroe Freeling. Oh no, he went to the NFL. Oh, I can plug it. I can plug in my 6'7", 340-pound sophomore Juan Gaston, who obliterates people in there. Oh, okay. Or wait, how about this? How about I put the 6'8" center that used to play basketball for Overtime Elite, who's also 330 pounds? Maybe we'll put him at right tackle too.
Yeah, bro.
Don't think you're losing anything there. Receivers is the question mark for me. Sorry, was that too much?
What?
Nothing. Receivers, question mark for me. They did lose their top 4 receivers to eligibility in the NFL draft. The leader among them, Zachariah Branch. How are they going to recreate his explosiveness? We're looking at a couple guys here. Sokovia White-Helton is going to be that starting guy in the slot. Really haven't seen him with an entire season of work. See how he does. But Talon Taylor is a really twitchy guy who can play outside, play in the slot, play wherever. He can, do the screen game that Georgia loves to do and get yards after catch. He's a threat downfield vertically. I think this guy's the complete package. He was just a freshman last year, so he really wasn't worked up. But I think the tight end room is by far the strong suit of this Georgia offense. They got like 5 guys they can play in that tight end room. I don't know how you're going to get all those guys touches of the football.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be possible. I think Lawson Lucky is obviously your one guy, and he's going to get a ton of touches. But for me, it'll be interesting to see if Georgia comes out, because they're not. I'm not going to say they don't have explosive plays, but they're not the biggest air raid offense, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely
Like,
not, no.
they're not going to chuck it downfield every play, but I'd be interested to see how they use the receivers at the start of the year. Because I think with the strong suit being the tight end room and the running back room and the offensive line, will it be they're going to just march down the field to start the year, or are they going to try to find their receivers first and then gradually shift more towards that, receiver screen and running back and tight end and really get everybody involved?
One guy who I think is going to be a real contributor, who is a newcomer to this Georgia team. I don't know if it's going to be at the start of the year. I don't know as the year progresses. He might come in for some injury, issues later on in the season. Tyree Green is a freshman they pretty much fell in love with at Buford, and Kirby Smart this spring said we're going to put him where we're going to put him wherever he helps us best. That's not something you say about a freshman. What? What do you mean you're going to put him? No. What do you mean we're going to put him wherever? What freshman do you know play wherever? So I think he's due for some major impact at some point in the year. Looking at the schedule, it's a little bit lighter than in years prior, but it's still got its fair share of tough games. At home versus Oklahoma, on the road to Alabama, on the road to Ole Miss are the main 3 I'm looking at. But yeah, like I said, I think compared to the last 2 years, it's much more favorable.
Yeah, I think at Alabama and at Ole Miss, those will be tough games, but everything else seems very winnable for this team. And even though the Alabama and Ole Miss game, they've had trouble with those 2 teams, but I think both are winnable games. Looking, at like some keys to success, 4th down conversion, they were number 3 in the country. Number 3 in the SEC in total penalties. They had 64 for 609 yards last year. That was good for 3rd best. Run game is going to be key. Nate Frazier coming back for another year. This guy is a physical runner. He stays a physical runner. He's going to I think he's going to have 1,000 yards this year.
I might have 2 backs with 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah, seriously. It's the D line is a bit of a question mark for me, just because I think their secondary. I think the Georgia secondary is great. KJ Bolden. I mean, Kirby can't talk about him enough. But I think the front 4 will be a bit of a question mark. And then again, yeah, the secondary should be a strong suit and should be able to hold coverage for long enough periods of time to let the pass rush get through.
Next team up is Tennessee, another one of those teams in that surprise team range. Main issue with them is they don't have a quarterback picked out yet. Still got a duel going on between George McIntyre and Faison Brandon. New defensive system with Jim Knowles over there, and just a lot of new returning talent, or new talent on that side of the football is the main issue for Tennessee. I have them at 8. Ryan, you had them all the way down at 10.
Yeah, I think going in with a question mark at QB is not it.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
It's tough. You've got a redshirt freshman and you've got a freshman. If you don't know who your quarterback is going to be to start the year, it creates a lot of confusion with the offensive line, with receivers and timing, with running backs and their timing, because every second matters, every movement matters when it comes to those things, and not knowing exactly who your quarterback is going to be kind of slows your offense to start the year. It feels
Yeah.
like Bo Perbula and Sam Horn at Mizzou last year, like both of them were seniors, and they were supposed to, both of them were primed for breakout years. Sam Horn, unfortunately, tearing his ACL, but Bo Perbula, like he shined at the start, but once he got to SEC play, it looked like he was a completely different player, and not in a good way, might I add. Um, so I think having a question mark at QB, especially with the quarterback luck that Josh Heupel has had. I mean, Nico Iamaleava transferring after 1 year, having a different quarterback or starting quarterback every year that he's been a head coach at Tennessee is not helpful. So they need to figure that one out pretty quick. And once they do, I think this team has the possibility to absolutely break out. I think they are my breakout team this year. I think they got a lot of weapons at the receiver position, in the running game. Deshaun Bishop back again, and the defense. A lot of turnover, but I feel the coaching staff has a lot of confidence in these guys, has a lot of confidence in themselves. I think they will be better than they were last year, at the very least.
All right. Next team up is South Carolina, a team we both kind of had at the back end of that surprise team category. Both of us having the Gamecocks there at 12. For an unusual situation for the South Carolina team, they have a lot of returning upperclassmen talent. Usually they play a lot younger. But no, they bring back Lenora Sellers. They bring back Nick Harbor. They bring back Dylan Stewart. Those are the big three right there for this South Carolina football team. That's, I think, their three best players. They did completely overhaul the offensive line because it was god-awful last year. Let's just make that very clear.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad last year. And then got a couple of receivers out of the portal. Nitro Tuggle from Purdue. The main one they got coming back to the SEC after a year at Purdue in the Big Ten, after originally starting out at Georgia. Another team with a new offensive system after letting Mike Shula go last year. So, this is another team where, okay, the talent's there. You've got some really star players here like Lenora Sellers, like a Dylan Stewart, who are, who we've seen at times be really, really good. Just how consistent can you be really, really good?
Yeah, and I think consistency will be a key this year for South Carolina because they don't, after week 2, they don't have a consecutive home game or a consecutive road game the rest of the season. They are at home, on the road, at home, on the road, at home, on the road, so on and so forth until the end of the year. And so consistency will be a large part of that because they're going to be in a new environment every week, and the back and forth may seem like it's fun, but it can stall a lot of momentum.
It's not fun.
If you've got to win at Tennessee, then you go play at Oklahoma, you lose at Oklahoma, and now you got Texas A&M coming to town. You might get stomped by Texas A&M. Now you go on the road to Arkansas, and on the road at Arkansas, it's not a hard place to play, but no place in the SEC is easy. And then you've got Georgia coming into town after that. It's the back and forth is not going to be fun this year, and I'm curious to see how Lenora Sellers and Shane Beamer and the rest of the South Carolina team handle this because they can be a playoff team. We've seen it. They've shown that they can get off and going. It's just, can they get off to a hot start, and can they continue that hot start throughout the entire season?
Hot start is right, because if you look at the schedule, I think those first 4 SEC games, versus Mississippi State, at Alabama, versus Kentucky, at Florida, that's probably the softest part of their schedule. You need to take at least 3 out of 4 of those games. Ideally,
to Alabama.
Ideally, yeah, that's the leeway there, is losing on the road to Alabama. But after that Florida game, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, Texas A&M, at Arkansas, Georgia, at Clemson. It does not get any easier than there's no let up in this schedule outside of the first 4 games. So really got to take advantage of that first half of the season with a team that hasn't in years past. So that's got to be the difference for them this year. All right, next team up is Oklahoma, another team in that kind of middle, or not middle tier. Yeah, I'm gonna say middle tier outside of the top two. For us, I had them at 7. Ryan also had them at 7, so another agreement there. John Mateer back for a second straight year starting for the Sooners. They're gonna have a good defense as always, as you know Brent Venables usually does. They bring back Isaiah Satania and bring in 2 other receivers that are expected to contribute, Trell Harris and cover your ears, Ryan, Parker Livingston from Texas. I mean, this was a team that started off really hot, and then John Mateer got hurt last year, and then they kind of cooled off and then picked it back up towards the end of the year and then fell apart in the playoffs. So, I mean, really, it's just looking for consistency, especially among the offense, because the defense is usually they're pretty solid usually. Bring back Taylor Wine, bring back Kip Lewis, bring back the 2 Bowens. So, look, defense ain't a worry for this team. They might, when it's all said and done, have the best defense in the SEC. It's really just the offense for Oklahoma. Excuse me.
Yeah, Were you going to keep going?
No, I coughed. That's why I said excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I think this offense can be one of the most explosive in the SEC. John Mateer, working on those throwing mechanics throughout this offseason, should ideally lower the turnover numbers, help his throwing hand and whatnot. And I think they didn't have one running back who got a ton of yards last year. Their leading rusher was Torrey Blaylock with 480 yards, 4-yard average, by the way. They rushed for 1,500 yards as a team, though, so they were still able to run the ball effectively.
Mind you, that was after their big running back target of the offseason, Jaden Ott, flopped tremendously.
Jaden Ott. Yep, that was after he was terrible for that. And so with Blaylock and Robinson coming back for another year with this team, bringing in Lloyd Avant, another 400-yard rusher last year at I believe it was Colorado State. It adds another level to this team if they can get the run game going. Now you have a 2,800-yard passer last season coming back again, and he's got weapons galore throwing the ball. So strong defense, strong offense. Can they put it all together and actually make some of those jumps? I think their ceiling this year, realistically, is probably the number 4 team. Like, they finished 4th in the conference and ultimately make a playoff game. I think that's their ceiling.
I agree. I mean, that sounds about right.
Sounds like an Oklahoma season.
It does sound like an Oklahoma season. Next team up is Ole Miss. A lot of drama in the offseason surrounding Ole Miss. Obviously, Lane Kiffin departing, and then them hiring Pete Golding from within. They didn't really do a coaching search or any of that. I mean, it was pretty late in the cycle, so they didn't exactly have time to do all that. But they managed to retain Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey on the offensive side of the ball, so offense still should be pretty good, especially considering at times Trinidad Chambliss can turn into someone who's absolutely untouchable for defenses at his best. The receivers are they had some really good ones last year. Dejon Stripping, Harrison Wallace are not with them anymore. Off to the NFL. They brought in Jonte Cook and Daryl Gill to replace them. We don't know how they're going to match up to those two. Deuce Alexander's still there, however. But like I said, if those guys can just be good enough, with a quarterback like Chambliss, you really just have to be good enough. The defense is where we see the most changes. Will Eccles and Satarian Perkins are the 2 main guys they brought back, but they do have 7 new guys projected to start from the transfer portal. But with it, like they had a top 5 portal class, top 10 portal class, and then with a defensive mind like Pete Golding as their head coach, I don't think it's going to be that big of a drop off. I do think it's going to be not as good as last year. Hence why I had them at 6 and you had them at 5. So
yeah,
I think they'll be good. I just don't think they'll be as good, especially when you look at how many games they won last year by 1 score. It's like one quick thing could flip the season on its end.
Yeah, I think some of that inexperience will probably show this season. First year, a lot of roster turnover. Brought in a lot of good defensive players. I mean, Keaton Thomas, Luke Farrelly, uh, new to the linebacking core. You got Jalen Crawford, Edwin Joseph, Jonel Aguero, and Sharif Denson. Like, are all new to the secondary. So a lot of roster turnover. But again, with a defensive mind like Pete Golding, I think they will be fine on the defensive side. I think the offense is really, where you need to look. And with Trinidad Chambliss coming back, I mean, they've got their quarterback. He's going to be fine. Kawan Lacey running the ball. He's going to be fine. They've got one new tackle that hasn't been with the program before, in Tommy Kinsler. Um, and even he, I'm pretty sure, was another one of their top gets in the portal. Or no, never mind. He was a 3-star, I believe. But even still, coming in from the portal, like I think they'll be fine on the offensive side. Yeah, the guy, yeah, 6'6", 340 offensive tackle. I think he's fine. um, so should be, I think, a fun season. Again, you mentioned the one-score games. If they get into those situations again, that's where I think a lot of the issues will come in for this team. And you've got a couple of tough road games at Texas, at Oklahoma. So, and a couple of tough home games. Georgia and LSU both coming in to town will not be easy by any means. So, could be a fun year. I think they could go back to the playoffs again. I think they hit their ceiling last year,
Yeah.
but I would not be surprised if they made it back.
Look, I'm not saying it's impossible. Like if you those 4 games you just
Right.
mentioned, LSU, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, they win 2 of those games. Outside of those 4 games, that
Yeah.
hardest game they have, I guess the rest of the way would be like, I don't know, at Florida.
Yeah.
Like, which fair. Florida's a very tough place to play, and we don't know how good this Florida team is going to be. But
Texas.
Ole Miss themselves 2 years ago. Anyways,
Yeah.
no, like 10-2 is possible. I just think it's not going to be 10-2. I think they're going to trip up a little more than they did last year. Texas. We both have them at number 1. Texas is our top pick for the best team in the conference currently, just because if you look at their roster and how much they got in the transfer portal, especially in the spots that they did, considering the problems they had last year with the offensive line and the running the ball and on defense. Yeah, they went out and filled all these needs perfectly. They got 2 offensive linemen, they got 2 running backs, they went and got Cam freaking Coleman. My 2 receivers are gonna hit the portal. Okay, give me Cam Coleman. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Stupid transfer portal clap.
Colin Simmons is back for another year after he got 12 sacks last year. Like, on paper, this is genuinely just an insane roster.
12 sacks, 3 forced fumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous team. Arch back for another year. He is ideally going to be better, I think.
Ideally.
Yeah, a lot of low completion percentage last year. He was just above that 60% threshold, but 3,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and most of those interceptions coming towards the start of the year as well.
That's also when his offensive line was. By the way, the offensive line was no help last year. I'm gonna make that very clear to Texas.
No, Arch was under pressure, getting sacked within 2 seconds of every other play. It felt like, and one issue for some reason last season was footwork, but it was clear that he got it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And once he did, it was noticeable. You could see how much better he was, how much better his pocket presence was, how much better his arm strength was, how much better his accuracy was. Everything looked better once he changed that. And I think that's why there's a lot of confidence around this team, especially with Cam Coleman coming in, especially with Hollywood Smothers coming in, Ray Leak Brown, defense or offensive line transfers as well. Trevor Gooseby coming back for another year and is the highest returning PFF graded offensive lineman. It was all SEC first team, all SEC preseason first team. Defense, again, not a lot of turnover. I think you're losing a couple of big players in Malik Muhammad and Michael Taff, but I think Jelani McDonald will actually fit that strong safety role really well. And I think Bomasco coming in helps at the cornerback position. This team should be good.
Should be.
This team should win 11 or 12 games. Will they? God only knows. They've got Ohio State on the schedule again this year, this time at home. They start their first 3 games at home this season, on the road at Tennessee for their first SEC game. Then they've got 4 straight home games.
Oh God.
4 straight home games. Well, okay, 3 straight. You've got Oklahoma at neutral at the Cotton Bowl.
Oh no, I have to drive an hour or 2.
Yeah, it's a 3.5 hour drive. It's not that big of a deal. Then you've got Florida at home, Ole Miss at home, Mississippi State at home. Should all be wins. At Mizzou, at LSU. At LSU is very tough. At Mizzou should be a win. Versus Arkansas, at Texas A&M to round out the year. You've won in Kyle Field before, but that's one of the only other games that I have real worry for. I think the Ohio State game, LSU game, and Texas A&M game will define this season.
And you ducked Georgia. Which you clearly have shown in the past years you have an issue against Georgia. So I feel like that's a big point.
Can't beat Georgia.
I want to wait. Hold on. Before we move on, I wanted you to stop and think of like in your head the like ideal types of receivers for like a 3-receiver lineup. Like you have a big X, you have a guy who's like really fast. Then you have a guy.
You've got your X, you've got your speedster, who could be your slot guy as well, and then a route runner.
Now, if I go look at Texas's lineup, I have an X and Cam Coleman. I have a guy, Ryan Ringo, who can turn on the Jets, and I have Emmett Mosley, who's
a gadget guy,
who's really quick in his routes. Man.
Yeah.
Like I said, should be the best team on paper, but should be and will be are 2 different things.
Anyway. Ideally, they're good this year.
Following that up is the other Texas team in Texas A&M, who we both also have in that that middle tier. I have them at 3, or you have them at 3. I have them at 4. So upper middle tier. Still expecting this team to be pretty good. We've talked about them a lot, I think, in the past few episodes. Marcel Reed back for another year as a starting quarterback. Should be better. That's how it goes. Another team that overhauled their offensive line, bringing in 4 new transfers. And their main issue on offense last year was they got inside that area, inside the 10-yard line, and oh my God, they crapped the bed on a lot of occasions. So how do they solve that? Let me go get a guy who had like 12 touchdowns last year with a lot of them coming inside the red zone. Okay, they went out and got Isaiah Horton to fill that need. Mario Craver, Ashton Bethel-Roman, all solid. The defense also should be pretty solid as well. Really, it's just like there's some games Texas A&M looks so good, and then there's other games where they just look like hot crap. There's some games where they look like both. Go back and watch the South Carolina game last year. These are 2 different teams that played those 2 halves of football.
Yeah, this team is probably one of the most confusing year in and year out, I feel like, because it's always they've got a great team coming in, and they've got a great class, they've got a great quarterback, and it's 8-4 or 9-3 or 10-2, and it's a disappointing year, or 7-5. And last year it was 11-0 all the way, 11 straight wins, and then crap the bed against Texas and look bad doing it. Marcel Reed was fantastic last year. Had 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions through 11 weeks last season. 2 interceptions against Texas, no touchdowns. 2 interceptions against Miami, no touchdowns. Lost both of those games. Those were the only 2 games they lost. Marcel Reed did not look great in either of those games. Now, he did have the ankle injury bothering him.
Man, injured ankle doesn't make you throw the ball to the defense.
It doesn't, exactly. And I'm not saying it did. And, another thing that I'm looking at is how dominant that Miami pass rush was against Texas A&M last year. 7 sacks. Yeah, they hadn't given up more than 2 since the Auburn game back in September, which they gave up 4. And so, the offensive line has to be good in those big games. Marcel Reed has to be on in those big games. And these guys, I feel like, are a very hungry team. I think Mike Elko is a very hungry coach. He was asked at SEC Media Days what, keeps this team humble and from like getting too complacent. And he just responded with, I go and show him the trophy case because it's
There's
empty.
nothing in there.
There's nothing in there. And so I think that is a great way to keep these guys hungry. And I think, if you have that mentality of we got to go get one, you're going to be a strong team.
Yeah, I agree. The schedule, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they have tough games at Alabama, at South Carolina, which is a tough game for them, at LSU, at Oklahoma. Man, this is a hard schedule. Like, I'm starting to realize this is a solid schedule.
It's not, yeah.
They got Tennessee as well, and then Texas as well. So, yeah. Hard schedule, but should be, a better team, you would hope. So, I feel good putting them at 4, excuse me. 3-4. The upper middle area.
Yeah. 3 through 7, probably.
The upper of that area. The upper of that unknown area. I get
what you're saying.
I'm going to trademark that and call it that. That's the unknown area.
Upper unknown.
Upper unknown. Okay. Next team up is Missouri. We both have them at... Oh, I have them at 10. You have them at 9. This is a team we kind of both put in the top 6 last year, and who looked good at the start of the year and then fell off the face of the earth. And now they've overhauled a bunch of things. Got a lot of new faces on defense. Got a new quarterback in Austin Simmons. Got some new receivers in Caden Lee and Caleb Goody. We talked about this team last year. I don't really see a reason why this team should stink. I think they'll be solid, as long as the quarterback play is efficient, which it wasn't last year. So, and they still finished the regular season, 8-4?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the talent out there, especially at running back. I think you have the best running back in the country, and Ahmad Hardy. I think you have a really solid sophomore receiver in Donovan Lude. I think the defense should be pretty. It should be decent. I don't think it'll be as good as last year, but I think it won't fall off the face of the earth because one thing Eli Drinkwitz has shown to do is that he puts together a solid defense through the portal with recruiting. So I think this is a good team in that and what Ryan called the surprise area, 8-12.
The breakout squad.
Yeah, that one. That's the one it's called. So, I think solid team. The schedule, however, is significantly harder than it was last year. At home versus Texas A&M.
Yeah.
At Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Versus Texas. At Georgia. Versus Oklahoma. That's 5 out of what we have in the top 7, right? That's brutal.
Yeah.
That is rough.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun ride this year. It's not the soft schedule that they had last year, where through the first, I think it was 6 weeks of the season, they were at home.
Yep.
And by the time it was time to go to Auburn and Vandy, it was week 7 and 8, and they had already taken a loss. And at that point, it was kind of not season over, but once they took that loss to Vandy, it started to go off the rails.
Back foot, yeah.
But this year they've got the early road game against Kansas in week 2. That's a rivalry game. Any rivalry game, I automatically just jump up to big game. Doesn't matter how good or bad the other team is. It's who shows up that day.
Yep.
On the road at Mississippi State, not the easiest place to play. We've seen upsets happen there, like Arizona State last year getting upset on the final play of the game. So, and Texas nearly losing, needing a huge comeback, as I mentioned earlier. But then they've got Florida and A&M at home, and so they've got those 2 games at home once SEC play starts to kind of ease into the hardest part of their schedule, I feel like. But the biggest question I have is how elite, or how can you keep the edge position at a good level? You don't need to keep it at an elite level because you're not going to get 10 sack seasons out of Langdon Kitchen and
Dara Smith.
Dara Smith, thank you. You're not going to get 10 sacks out of Langdon Kitchen and Dara Smith. You're not going to get you know, 10 sacks from Marquise Gracial replacing Chris McClellan. You're not going to get these
Didn't
elite performances, but
didn't that
how can they keep that? What?
didn't everyone on that defensive line get drafted except for Damon Wilson, who's like, I'm gonna go take my $2 million from Miami.
Yeah, everybody from that team got drafted. Like it was a great defensive line. They're not going to repeat that. They're all returning guys. They're all seniors. They're not going to
They're
repeat
just
that.
not as good. No,
Now
no.
what? No. Now what will be key is how does the secondary come together, and I think the linebacking core will be way more important than a lot of people realize. Nick Rodriguez got some starts last year. Robert Woodyard Jr. coming in as a transfer, one of the big gets in this offseason for Drinkwitz and the Tigers. So it'll be tough, I think, for them in this schedule particularly. But if they can get it figured out early, and if Austin Simmons can get on a good rhythm early, they could go on a run. They could pull some upsets that not a lot of people would expect.
Vanderbilt is up next. Team that didn't build a lot outside of the portal, outside of the offensive line. They got Cole Adams from Bama to be a receiver there, but Junior Sherrill should still be the main target. They did lose Eli Stowers. That's a big loss.
Where's he at now?
Is he in Philly, Ryan?
Yep.
Talking about important things. Anyways, they still keep Martel Height on the defensive end. I was wrong about that when I said that last episode, I'm pretty sure. They still have Martel Height. My bad. Cedric Alexander back again for his senior year. Quarterback's the main question, though, because Diego Pavia has played 7 years in college ball, and now he doesn't have any more. So it's between a true freshman or a redshirt junior who still hasn't played college football, at least starting at an SEC level. I think it's going to end up being Jared Curtis, the true freshman, who is a very high-rated recruit guy. I think he was, number 2 outside of Keyshawn Henderson or something. But the guy did play 1A football in Tennessee, so there might be just a slight learning curve a little bit. I think he's got the talent. It just might take him a little sec to get used to the level of comp. And unfortunately for Vandy, their first 2 games, an SEC player at Auburn and at Georgia, followed by at home against Ole Miss. So I don't really think there's a lot of time to wind up to that level of comp. So I don't think this Vandy team is going to be as good as they were last year. I think they'll be solid, but I have them at 11. So does Ryan.
Yeah, I definitely think they take a step back this year. I think I still have them in my breakout squad just because I think with a top quarterback coming in, you've still got defensive weapons. You've still got a couple of guys on the offensive side, and Cedric Alexander, especially for the run game, like he's going to be huge this year. I think they'll feel that Stowers loss a little bit harder than some people will realize. I mean, he won. I can't remember the name for the best tight end award, but he was the best tight end in the country last year.
Mackey.
And the Mackey Award. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think it'll be felt a little bit more than people realize, and I think they have a bit of a fall off here. I don't think they are as good as they were last year.
All right, we got 4 teams left. The first of them being Arkansas, who I haven't dead last. And Ryan has a 14. So, first year for Ryan Silverfield in Arkansas. Brought in a lot of transfers. This adds a lot of question mark for Arkansas. And the schedule has been named the hardest in the country. And there's just not a lot of star power, really. Yeah. So I have Arkansas in last.
It'll be a rough year one for Ryan Silverfield, which kind of sucks because I actually my was it 13 through 15, I think. Yeah. My 13 through 15 I have called the American rookies because it's Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas.
Sir, Will Stein was not in the American. What are you yippering about?
You're right. Will Stein was Oregon, but I'm calling them the American rookies
Oh, all right.
because it's more fun that
I mean,
way.
if you
I think
if you squint hard enough, that kind of looks like Florida. Kind of, not really.
if you squint hard enough, Will Stein was the head coach of North Texas.
Okay, sure.
And if you squint hard enough, that green is North Texas green.
Okay. Anyways.
Anyways, anyways, I Arkansas. I think they just have the roughest schedule of the three. I think they got the roughest roster. They brought in a ton of guys, just not a bunch of talent, and that's fine for year one. Bring in a bunch of depth, get some guys on the roster, figure out who's going to stay, who's going to go. I think Quincy Rhodes coming back for another year is exactly what they needed on this defense, just to have something. Uh, the offensive line, for the most part, is back for another year. Uh, it's a rough schedule. It's a rough schedule. It's a rough team. There's nothing confirmed. You know, a lot of coaching staff turnover. The roster turnover is insane. And number one toughest schedule in the country. Go ahead and start thinking about next year, guys.
Another team in a very similar situation. Funny, we just did 16 on my list. Now we're gonna do 15 on my list. Kentucky is up next. Kind of same situation. Like Ryan kind of just said. I'm gonna piggyback off what he said. They brought in a lot of players. I just don't know how much talent there actually is. And this is just a known fact. If you look at these depth charts and you see a lot of gold, which signifies a player that's a transfer, the more you see, the harder it is for this team to really click together. Yeah, it's kind of same as Arkansas. I like Will Stein as a coach. I think this Kentucky team can be good in a few years. I don't think this year's a year.
No, I don't think this year's the year at all. Give him a couple of years. He's one of the most confident guys in the SEC, I think, right now. I think he's the most confident of the guys coming in. I just don't think this is his team. It won't be his team this year, and I think he's probably got one of the best minds, one of the best new minds in this conference, and just having 9 or 8 guys projected to start that are portal gets. I mean, it's just going to take a minute to really get this roster to where it can actually compete.
I think they're good to maybe stress one team out. I think they're good to maybe take one from a top dog, considering they play they play a lot of top dogs. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Alabama in week 2.
And I think they
LSU.
could absolutely steal the Vanderbilt game, the Florida game, the Louisville game. I think they might pick up a couple of wins here and there. They're not going to be great.
Yeah, I agree. Hot take, Ryan. This wheel spin determines the Iron Bowl. We got 2 teams left. It's Auburn, Alabama. Let's watch. All right, Alabama's winning the Iron Bowl.
Rip.
Rip. There goes that. It's fun. No, second to last team, Alabama Crimson Tide. Both have them decently high up. I have them at 5. You have them at 6. Man, we're a lot more like together this year than we were last year. I remember there was a lot of times last year where we would have teams like 3 rankings apart.
Yeah.
No, I feel like a lot of these are a lot closer together this year.
I feel like there's just a large consensus of teams.
For the ranges, maybe. I don't know about the teams. Like we said, the 3 through 7 is
that's what I'm saying.
The most unknown amalgamation of.
But like we have the same 8 through 12, just different order, and the same 13 through 16, just different order.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, Alabama didn't really get like they got better. I think they got better. I think they brought in some. The defense is fine. The defense will be better just because it's another year older. And I didn't really think the defense was a big issue for them last year. The issue was they just couldn't run the ball last year. And they tried to go out and get Hollywood Smothers. And Texas is like, hey, bro, we'll pay you more.
Actually.
Hey, bro, we'll pay you more. And then he went to Texas. So they're sticking it out with Daniel Hill and Kevin Riley, who I think they got the attributes to be good. They just have to actually be developed into good running backs. A.K. Deere as well. Same story. The offensive line has to be better. It wasn't very good last year, especially in the run game and especially late in the games. They brought in 2 guys to kind of patch that up, but they brought back a lot as well. Receivers, I think, are going to be the strength, of this team. I think they go like 6 deep at receiver. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got Latsier Brooks, Ryan Williams, and then Derek Meadows, and they got Sadarian Morgan, who they're all over. That freshman. They got Rico Scott. I mean, I think they're pretty solid at the receiver spot.
Yeah.
Tight end as well. I think Caleb Edwards is really good. The secondary, though, oh my God, I love the secondary. The secondary is awesome. J.B. Brown, Baby Hubbard, Keon Sabb, Dijon Lee, Red Morgan, all great guys, all great football players. Have fun throwing the ball against Alabama.
This defense is going to be disgusting, and I think it's going to be the difference in how they play this year. Just because question mark at quarterback, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, still I don't think there's been an announcement on that.
Nope.
Run game, Daniel Hill and Kevin Riley. I don't know how much they're going to be able to carry the load there. But I think once they figure out the pass game, defense is going to do defense things this year. I think it's going to be top 3 at least, if not top 1 in this conference. And I think with that defense, I think they'll do a lot. But the one thing that I really don't like about this Alabama team, I don't think Kalen DeBoer is as hungry as some of these other coaches. I don't think Kalen DeBoer wants to win this conference as much as some of the other. I don't think he wants to win as much as some of these other guys. Because when asked, how do you think, the amount of championships you win this year or not this year, in your time at Alabama will define your time at Alabama? And he was like, I try not to think about that with Nick Saban staring directly. I try not to think about that. And
what do you
that's
mean?
Not the response that Bama fans want to hear.
What do you mean try to think about that? That's your job.
As much as you want to develop guys, make them the best guy that they can be, get them into the NFL, get them paid, you also got to win national championships doing it. That's part of the job. And especially at Alabama. And these fans are starting to get a little restless, and an answer like that, not the greatest. And I didn't like it. And I mean, you got guys like Elko, who is literally showing Texas A&M players the trophy case. You've got Kirby's culture, Sark, and Arch, and that entire team. I just don't think it's Alabama's year.
Yep,
and that's why I have them at 6.
Yep, same for me. I think they'll be solid. I don't think they'll be they'll be up near the top. That's why I have them at 5. Last team, Auburn. I have them at 14. Ryan at 13. Another new team with a new coach. Remember that whole thing about gold I said while looking at the depth chart with the signifying a transfer?
Yeah.
Take a look at that offense, Ryan. That is 10 out of 11 starters are new from the transfer portal. Now, granted, a lot of them all came from the same team at South Florida and followed their head coach, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think, having another roster with a lot of turnover, I just think a lot of these guys having come from USF, the defense for the most part stayed relatively still when it comes to guys coming in. They've got a lot of guys that are returning on this defensive side, but Byron Brown coming to Auburn with Golish, I think just made his life so much easier. Because Byron Brown has already pulled off upsets. Alex Golish has already pulled off upsets.
Yep.
Against SEC teams. I believe his record's like 4-1 against SEC teams.
Wrong coach. That was Silverfield.
And that was Silverfield.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but no,
right, well,
but you're right. Golish gives him the work.
Yes,
he gives him the work.
Golish, yeah, yes. Golish is a guy who can beat SEC teams, and I think you bring your quarterback, you bring a lot of guys from your team. I think he could pick up a lot of wins this year. They've got a lot of road games.
Dude,
road games are never easy. They've got some home games. They've got some games that I think they can win. I think they'll win the Arkansas game. I think they can win the Mississippi State game. I think they can win the Vandy game. I think they can win any game at home, minus probably the LSU game.
I don't know. they're one of the teams that for some reason always gives LSU the work, especially when they're at home. I think that
That's fair. I'm not counting them off. I just don't think they'll get it done.
I'm not saying they'll get it done, but I was looking at the game. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, they got a lot of tough crap on the road. They go 2 Tennessee, 2 Georgia, 2 Ole Miss, 2 Alabama. I think this is a team in a similar spot than Kentucky, but I think they're better than Kentucky. They're more talented than Kentucky. They're
a little bit
more
better.
experienced than Kentucky. So I think they actually have a better chance to knock a giant off on a week they're asleep, like LSU. Highlight October 24th. That might be a game to watch.
Absolutely. I can see a lot of that.
Well, that was both of our SEC preseason rankings. We went through all 16 teams in a fun way this time instead of going in boring.
What's your championship prediction, Nick?
Alphabetical order. Man, I don't know. Give me I guess kind of the point of doing this is putting Georgia and Texas. Yeah, but give me Georgia win that game.
Yeah, I got Georgia winning over Timu.
Timu, Texas A&M.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
Anyways, yeah. Anything else you'd like to add, Ryan?
Excited for a fun year, hopefully.
God, I want football to start already. I need it. I need it.
Yeah, the only thing I don't need is the school that comes along with it.
That's true. But, I don't care.
It's just a part of it, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
part of it. Yeah, start over the SEC next week. We'll do Big Ten next week. Should we do Big Ten next week, or should we kind of stagger it and leave the Big Ten for last, so we can leave the two, I guess, biggest conferences at the first and last?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. There's another conference ranking next week. That's all you need to know. We'll
That's
figure
all you
out
need
which
to know.
one it is. Anyways, I think that's all for us. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. As always, thank you for watching.